If you've watched any of our connector overviews or planning videos, you might have heard us throw around some terms like terminating pipe or through pipe when we're talking about different connections. And I've had a few customers recently who have had some confusion with these terms, and we're working on some different things on the website to make it easier to understand when looking at the connector pages. But for now, I wanted to do a video and show you guys the difference between a through pipe and a terminating pipe, because I think it's really important to know for planning reasons and just for putting your project together and also learning how to solve problems and use the connectors in different ways in your project. So I've got a T connector here, and if you look at the website, you'll see the T connector in this orientation, in this front-on view, and when you're looking at it, it can be kind of confusing to know exactly how everything is going together. But it's meant to join two pieces of conduit together, as you see here, and I've just got half the T connector just so I can show you what it looks like. And basically, the top half of the T connector up here, we call this the through pipe connection because this piece of conduit runs completely through the connector. This is really useful because you may not realize that you could make an elbow with the T connector. You just put this piece of conduit sitting flush with the side of the T connector here, and you create a 90-degree elbow. And this is a really good thing to know and realize, because anywhere that you want to add a cross support or a brace from one side to the other or a shelf, something like that, you can essentially put a T connector and run the other pipe across your build for that shelf or whatever it may be. So we call this the through pipe because it runs continuously through it. And another question that people have is, can you join two pieces of conduit together inside of these through connections like you might see with a PVC T connector, for example? And you're not really supposed to do that. We don't recommend that, and there's really just not enough engagement inside of the connector here for that to really clamp down properly on both pieces. So don't do that. Don't really recommend that at all. You'll see this in all the different connectors, or a lot of the different connectors. Not all of them have a through pipe, but a lot of them do. And if they don't have a through pipe, then they're going to have terminating pipes. And the difference between the two is the through pipe, as we said, runs completely through the connection, but the terminating pipe has to stop. It can't go any farther than this bump here where the bolt normally goes through. And like I said, it's kind of hard to tell that when you have it flipped over. You don't really notice it unless you're really looking for it. But you'll see here that the pipe has to stop. It can't go any farther than here. And if it does, then the connector won't close down properly. So this is a terminating pipe. And we call it that because it terminates inside the connector and doesn't go any farther. And anywhere that you see a flat end of conduit like this sitting directly next to a bolt, it's going to be a terminating pipe, which means it's going to stop inside the connector. And it's also important to note here, it's going to add some length to the conduit. So if you're calculating measurements in your builds, then it's an important thing to realize that this is going to add length to your measurements. And if that's confusing to you, we have a whole video on how to figure out how to plan your build and figure out the cut length for different projects based on this information. And along with that, you'll realize that if it's a through pipe connection, it doesn't add any height to your build because the conduit sits flush with the end and, or anywhere along this through pipe, it's not adding any length. It's just covering the conduit, whereas in this instance, it's adding some length to the connector. And that's why I say it's important to know the difference between a terminating pipe and a through pipe, because you might not realize little things like the fact that it adds length to the connection, or the fact that you can make elbows or put through pipes flush with the connector ends. So different things like that, but really helpful. And like I said, it's good to know for planning and building. Hope you guys found this helpful. And if you did, leave a like and consider subscribing. And if you didn't, then feel free to leave a comment and I'll be happy to help answer any questions that you might have. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you in the next video.